good. I can be heard even without a microphone. But I'm delighted to welcome all of you here, panelists, union workers, friends, and members of the press, wherever you might be, to Old South Church in Boston, an open and affirming congregation of the United Church of Christ. We have a long history. We were founded in 1669 and have played a significant role both in Boston's history and in the nation's history. For your information's sake, Ben Franklin was baptized here, and Phyllis Wheatley, the first published African-American woman poet, was a member. But as a Christian congregation, and I speak out of that faith tradition, there are other faith traditions here today, this congregation seeks to follow in the path of Jesus, who was always expanding and pushing out people's expectations or perceptions as to the breadth and inclusiveness of God's kingdom, a breadth and inclusiveness that involves justice, simply defined for our purposes as fair and equitable. A living wage, increased benefits, fits the criteria for me as fair and equitable. Basic needs for families, to strengthen those families and to strengthen our communities. So we are pleased to host this news conference today. Issues of fairness for hardworking people, the janitors and maintenance workers of Boston and New England, are issues that we here at Old South Church, along with all of you, care very much about. On a more personal level, I have a new grandson, 11 weeks old yesterday, and my daughter and son-in-law named him Micah, after the Hebrew prophet. Micah called out to his people in his day when they were experiencing, even as we are experiencing, a great gap between the well-off and the rest of us. Someone had a shirt that said 99%. That comes from Prophet Micah way back thousands of years ago. But Micah said to his people, "What does God require of you? To do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." So Micah's call, and my grandson's call, is to do justice. That's the call for us today. So welcome to Old South Church. May our time together help bring that justice to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias.
Good morning.
We are here because we in the religious community believe in a God of justice and compassion. A God who created every person in the divine image and conferred upon each person an inherent worth and dignity. This struggle is about respecting that human dignity. This struggle is not isolated. It is part of the struggles throughout the world as we cope with the widening gaps between the rich and the poor, when we see gross and growing inequalities of wealth and income. This is an international problem, and this is a subset of that international problem. The janitors should not have to go on strike in order to live a better life. They should not have to strike to show their wonderful contributions to our society and economy. And we know what those contributions are, and believe me, if a strike occurs, those contributions will be surely missed very early, very early. We urge the people, the owners and managers of the cleaning companies, of the buildings, but also the companies that occupy those buildings to reach a reasonable negotiated settlement. The demands of the janitors are not excessive. Modest wage increases, a pathway to full-time jobs with benefits. This is not too much to ask for. These are not excessive. We hope this can be resolved without a strike. However, we want you to know this. Although we hope it could be resolved without a strike, whatever happens, we will be with you. We will be with you because we know your cause is just. We know your demands are reasonable. And we also know and will stand firmly behind you, will support you, and walk with you in the cause of social and economic justice. Justitia, justitia. Thank you.
Other clergy, good morning, buenos dias, shalom. It's only 2 days since it was Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, and the words from the prophet Isaiah are still ringing in my ears from that day, when he said, "On your fast day, you see to your business and you oppress your laborers. But we are called to unlock the fetters of wickedness and unite the cords of the yoke. You are to let the oppressed go free and to break off every yoke." So we say to those who are leaders in business, you have a responsibility to the people who work for you, whether you see them or not, whether they are visible to you or not, whether you see them across the table or whether they are somewhere cleaning and you show up and your office is magically clean. It is your obligation to be in relationship with those people and to make their lives a life of dignity and not humiliation. There was a woman who spoke to us earlier who said that when she sits across the negotiating table, she feels as if the owners and the managers see her like the trash that they take out every night. That was the most painful thing that I could imagine, that in a world where we ought to be seeing each other as human beings with dignity, that someone would look at another person in that way. You know, there's a verse that we read on Labor Day weekend in our synagogue. It's right here. I was going to quote it, but it's right here. This is the message that comes from the Holy Scriptures, whether you hear it in a synagogue or you read it in a church or you hear it in a mosque. From the mouth of Moses, we are told, you shall not abuse a needy and destitute laborer, whether a fellow countryman or a stranger in one of the communities of your land. Doesn't matter whether you speak Spanish or you don't speak Spanish. We speak a common language of humanity. We need to remind the business owners, the managers, the large corporations, and the small local commercial owners that in addition to the economic bottom line, there is a moral bottom line. And that's the moral bottom line that we subscribe to, that we are here to support, and we are here to support the janitors. I'll share one last line. If anybody here remembers Fiddler on the Roof? There's a point in the opening song where the beggar says to the rich man, he says, "Last week you gave me 2 kopecks, this week you gave me only 1. And the rich man says, "I had a bad week." And the poor man says, "Because you had a bad week, why should I suffer?" Truth is, I'm not talking about beggars. These people are hardworking laborers who work 7 days a week. They take 2 jobs because their managers are not giving them enough work that they can afford health insurance. And in many cases, that means we, the taxpayers, have to take care of their health insurance. And they are working very hard while the managers, the business owners, the large companies are making more money than ever before. Making money is a fine thing. That's the American dream. That's what they came here for. The question is, can you share that with the people who are working hard to make it possible for you to walk into your office and have a clean desk and a clean bathroom and an empty wastebasket? They clean your office. They clean your offices, contractors clean up your act. It's time to remember the moral bottom line. God bless you in your struggle. We are with you.
Mateo Katzmar. It is an honor to stand with you this day in support of the hard-working janitors of New England. It's a privilege to speak in support of the many women and men whose hard work behind the scenes keeps our businesses running and strengthens our economic future. But the future should not and cannot be built upon the exploitation of the very women and men we depend upon to keep our businesses clean. Our janitors should not have to strike to be treated fairly, but we stand with them if that is what they must do to gain what should be theirs. As a Unitarian Universalist, my faith, my religion affirms and promotes the worth and dignity of every person. Unitarian Universalism is a religion that stands on the side of love, and the loving response, the justice-filled response, the right response is to say yes to giving the opportunity for full-time work. The loving response, the justice-filled response, the right response is to say yes to access to health insurance and health care. The loving response, the justice-filled response, the right response is to protect the families of those who are ready and willing to work hard for us. And so I ask, will Fidelity, Genzyme, Novartis, State Street Bank, Dunkin' Donuts, and so many others join us and stand on the side of love? Will they join us and stand on the side of justice? Will they join us and stand on the side of that which is right? I asked a member of my congregation, Shauna Weston, who some of you know from her work with Local 509, why justice for janitors matters. Shauna's sitting right here. Last night she said, I believe every person should have the opportunity to do work that is meaningful and significant to them. I believe that all work should pay a wage which allows people to sustain themselves and their family with safe and affordable housing. I believe that all work should have access to healthy food and enough of it. I believe that all work should give access to quality, affordable health care. We should be creating jobs in our communities that allow people to plan and hope for the future. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Yes, indeed, it's great to be retired with a defined pension benefit, one of the last in America with such a beautiful thing. And everybody should have what I have, and you should have what you're struggling to have: decent wages, some time off, for goodness sakes, a human life so you can spend more time with your family and enjoy life. Why am I here? Well, I'm here because of my grandfather, James W. Kennedy, my hero, fired at the beginning of the 20th century in the Boston police strike. And I have in my possession at home his record, discharged for dereliction of duty. But of course, that was a badge of honor because he and his fellow workers stood up for what you're standing up for, justice in the workplace. So the past is the prologue for this present moment and for the future, because this arc of justice spins slowly. But I'm hopeful because I see so many people here, so many faces. And you're inviting us in our churches and synagogues and mosques to step out of the United States of amnesia, to remember the past. I'm lucky because I had occasion to, one time I was walking down Saratoga Street, it was 1989, and Eastern Airlines was on strike, and the sign "We were on strike" made no impression. The next day, I walked by and I saw the sign food pantry in the rear. And I said, these couldn't be true. These are people with good jobs, middle-class jobs. And food pantry's about poor people. And so I walked in, and that was an illumination, a moment of truth. And Karl Barth, the great theologian, said, in order to understand what God is saying to us, you have to read the Bible and the newspaper. You have to read the signs of the times. And so I was lucky. I was lucky to have James W. Kennedy, my hero, as a grandfather, and to know his story. So it's time for people in churches and synagogues and mosques to remember their own stories, because they all had grandparents like myself. And that's what we have to do. And thank you for reminding all of us and calling us forth from our churches and mosques and synagogues to do the works of justice. It's a hopeful time, because more and more people are getting it. More and more people are seeing the pain and suffering in the workplace. And let's continue this battle.
So in the Jewish calendar, we're in the month of Tishrei, and it's a time for us of teshuvah, of turning onto a good path, onto a path of justice and compassion, a time when we try to turn back to our best selves. And in Jewish tradition, we believe that this turning is possible at any time, at any moment. We can always decide to wipe the slate clean, to begin again, to do the right thing. So today, in this month of Tishrei, we are calling on the cleaning companies and the building owners to turn, to do teshuvah, to turn and do the right thing by the hardworking men and women who clean our commercial buildings in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. We call on them to turn and offer decent wages and full-time jobs with benefits to workers who are asking nothing more than any of us, any person, would want for themselves. A minimum which our religious traditions all demand. And as we heard this morning from the workers, this is not the time to turn backwards, back to how things were before this contract, but to go forwards, towards a better contract, towards justice, towards fairness, towards a new and better contract for the members of SCIU. And I especially want all of the workers here, all of you who clean our buildings, to know that the Jewish community stands with you in your struggle. We will stand with you as long as it takes to win the contract that you deserve. And I just wanted to close with a blessing. Every morning we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of life, who girds us with strength. So the blessing is that you too be strengthened in your struggle, in your conviction, in your determination, and know that we are here to stand by you and support you and help give you that strength. Thank you.
Buenas tardes a todos. Soy Silvia Clark. Trabajo en Lowell, en Cross Point. La compañía se llama Peace Plus.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sylvia Clark. I work in Lowell for Peace Plus, cleaning Cross Point.
Orgullosamente miembro del local 615. También soy de la mesa ejecutiva y soy parte de la mesa de negociaciones actualmente.
And I'm a proud member of Local 615 as well as the Executive Board, and I'm part of the Negotiating Committee.
Ante todo, quiero darle las gracias a todas las personas que están aquí, de fe y no fe.
I'd like to just thank everyone who's here, people of faith, people maybe not of faith, for being here and supporting us.
Los 14,000 miembros del local 615 estamos en una lucha desigual.
The 14,000 members of Local 615 are in the fight of our life.
Nosotros acabamos de terminar un contrato hace unos meses y teníamos la esperanza después de 10 años
So we were hoping, coming to the end of this contract, and after 10 years,
las compañías nos vieran como personas y nos darían un trato justo.
we were hoping that the companies would see us as people and treat us fairly.
Uno de los logros que quisiéramos tener, o los tres más importantes, número uno, seguro de salud. Nadie se enferma porque quiere.
One of the three main things we want to win is health insurance. People don't get sick because they want to. We need health insurance.
Mejores horas de trabajo para que podamos tener acceso a cosas básicas como comida, alimentación, techo. La vida ha encarecido mucho para todo el mundo.
We want more hours of work so that we can pay for our basic living expenses. Everything has gotten more expensive. Rent, food, basic necessities.
Y lo más importante, el salario. Ganamos muy poco. Yo trabajo en las afueras y gano $12.49 por hora en un día de trabajo, en una jornada extraordinaria, 4 horas, que deberían ser 8. Solamente cobro $49.96.
So, and most importantly, we need higher salaries. I work in the suburbs and make $12.49 an hour. I work 4 hours a day. I'd rather it be 8, but in the end, I'm only making $49.95.
Hemos sido muy pacientes, dándole tiempo a las grandes corporaciones que nosotros le llenamos los bolsillos.
So we've been patient, filling the pockets of the biggest companies around here.
Ahora estamos sentados en una lucha que no va para ningún lado. Para ningún lado, porque lo que ellos nos ofrecían inicialmente, 10 centavos al año.
And right now we're in the middle of a struggle that's not going anywhere. They offered us a 10-cent raise a year at the beginning of these negotiations.
Nosotros no vamos a retroceder 10 años. Por 10 años hemos luchado y ahora vamos para adelante, para adelante.
We're not going to go back 10 years. Our job is to keep moving forward.
Nos han estado amenazando, han hecho despidos, han hecho mucha presión psicológica a los compañeros y a los miembros de las bases.
And meanwhile, they've been threatening people, disciplining people, and waging this psychological campaign against members who've been participating in this campaign.
Y los altos funcionarios que se sientan, de verdad les digo, nos miran como basura.
And you know, the big bosses see us as trash.
Pero gracias a Dios no somos más invisibles. Salimos a la luz y vamos a luchar.
We are not invisible. We're coming into the light and we're going to fight.
No estamos pidiendo millones, pero no vamos a aceptar limosna. El Dios que yo conozco, Jehová, no hace acepción de personas. Y Él nos dice, esfuércense y sean valientes, que Él va a estar con nosotros y sé que va a estar con nosotros.
We're not asking for millions, but we're not going to accept crumbs either. The God that I know wants us to be strong and to fight. And He's going to be with us.
En este momento nos quedan casi horas de negociaciones. Los compañeros, la familia, todo el mundo está nervioso. Nosotros no queremos ir a huelga.
So now that we're coming down to the wire of negotiations, we're all a little nervous. None of us wants to go on strike.
Pero ¿saben qué? Estamos listos para la pelea porque tenemos la gente, tenemos el apoyo y donde ellos quieran vernos peleando, ahí vamos a estar.
But you know what? We've got people, we've got our supporters, and whenever they want to fight, we're there to have it with them.
Quiero agradecer a toda la comunidad religiosa hoy aquí que nos dieron esta maravillosa hospitalidad.
And again, I want to thank the religious leaders here that have given us such wonderful hospitality.
Y sé que aquí están las verdaderas armas para luchar, la oración.
tools that we need, prayers.
No me queda más que darles las gracias en nombre del comité negociador y de los 14,000 miembros del local 615. Vamos a la lucha si es necesario. Nada ni nadie nos va a detener. Gracias a todos por estar aquí.
Once again, we'd like to thank you on behalf of the negotiating committee and the 14,000 janitors. We're going to be there, and we know we can count on your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It is an honor and privilege to fight for justice. As a young man, as a seminarian, studying to be a priest, I always thought about labor. And this is different, but because you and I, we came far from our countries to come here and build this nation and help these Greeks to get more and more and not giving back to what belonged to us. And brothers and sisters, this is the history of this country. The Italians, the Irish, all of us went through this story over and over again. They fought, they win, and we are going to fight and win no matter what. And I'm going to ask you, as you go back to your church, to your mosque, to your temple, ask your religious leader to come with you in this march Monday and the day after. Ask them, because you are the one who help us to have our rights bill paid in the church and synagogues and temple, and the leaders, religious leaders should be with you all the way through this. An act of slavery. We're no longer slaves. Moses came and freed the people from the bondage of Egypt. And I'm happy to see religiously here doing the same work for Moses. We must speak the truth. And what amazes me, those managers, those people, they go to church too. They go to the temple. And they read the same Bible that you and I read. But guess what? They think by giving extra money that you can give, they'll save. I don't believe that theology. I believe in theology of compassion, of justice, of equality. Let us tell them they are wrong, morally wrong. And we are with you until the end. And may God bless you and keep you strong fighting for justice. Thank you.